Welcome back. Mr. Ngike, your trainer. We are going to continue from where we left, and we are working with Autocad version 2022. We checked at organizing your drawings with layers. So we are going to create new drawings template, create new layers, create layers, then change an object's layer, changing properties of layers. On this bar, we have layer. These are the layering commands. In AutoCAD, we have the different types of commands, and we have the layer commands, modify commands, details command, constructions commands, drawing commands, annotation, block commands, utility, groups commands, and all this. So our commands will focus on layers, and this is a section of the layer commands, these ones, whatever we have, from this corner to this other corner, the layer commands. And in creating new drawings with templates, what I have is a drawing which I have the dimensions in that particular color, then the drawing or the lines that have that color, and also you can see my text are in different colors. So that's the importance of layering. So in creating layers, we can create a new layer by this icon. Click that icon. Then on this end, click on this other icon, new layer. Whatever I have is a layer that has been created, and we can give it a name. So this appears like a recap from what we had covered the last video. So if you click a layer, you can just give it a name, give it just one. But that's not a very nice name, so we can just give it outline. Then once you create this layer, so it tells me that a layer exists, we can call it outline construction. Let's give it construction. Then the next thing is to make it our current. So if you click on the red, that sets it as the current. If you click on this arrow, the X, that is deleting the current selection in the layer list of layers. So we are going to check setting it as current. Then we can give it a color, a line weight, and a line types. I don't want to repeat what we did. So remember, making it current simply means that all other lines that we are going to draw will be based on this layer. So if you apply, all other drawings will be based on that. Then the layer states. So again, we click on that icon. Then we have construction. So the states, we can do freezing, locking, we can lock, and if you lock a layer, changes cannot be made. So ensure that your layer is unlocked. Freezing, freezing up, make it like disappear, but not deleting. So ensure that you have not frozen. Then there is that other icon. So it all depends on what you want to do with your layer. So that's on layers. And changing the properties again, we have focused on how to access layer using these icons. So we can also access layer by typing layer, then enter, and you can see the various layers we have are here. So again, we go to this layer. Then the properties we are talking about are like the color. You can give it a color of your choice. As it depends on you, you can give it a color. That's one way of changing its property. Another way you can change is the line type, the line weight, and also the various dimensions that we have. So then to close this layer on this, you can just click that point. So the other thing that we checked at today is commands for making changes in your drawings. Commands for making changes in your drawing. Another time for making changes is modify. So modifying commands are on this square or rectangle. So you can see from this point or from this edge. These are the modifying commands. Number one, we have the move, which displaces an object's distance in a specified direction. Rotate, which rotates objects about a base point. Array, which creates an array in a rectangular pattern. Erase, which cleans and heals the surrounding area. Explode, which converts mechanical structure objects to mechanical structure objects when used on mechanical structure objects, and breaks a compound object into its components objects. Then we have fillets, which connects two non-parallel lines or arcs by extending them or trimming them to join with a rounded edge. Then you have the stretch or stretches objects. Then we have a power copy, which produces an identical copy of a specified object. For more of these commands, if you click on that, you get further. This command of lengthen, which changes the length of objects in the included angle of arcs. Edit polyline, which edits polyline and three-dimensional polygon meshes. Edit spline, which edits a spline or spline fit polyline. Edit hatch, which modifies an existing hatch object. Edit array, which edits polycopies of objects in a pattern. Join, which connects non-parallel lines or polylines, arcs, and circles. Then break at point, which breaks the selected object at a single point. Breaks the selected objects between 2 points. Then align objects with other objects in 2D and 3D. So that's one way of looking at these commands. Another way of accessing the modify commands is simply type modify. So there's a word here, regenerating. So we'll not access the whole package, but we can just access one command at a time. So in modifying, the first thing is to learn how to select the objects for editing. So to select simply means to click on the object. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting. That's one way of selecting the object bit by bit. So another way of selecting the object, you can simply highlight. So I'm sure my cursor appears to be misbehaving for one reason or the other. But if we select some of these objects, you can see what is happening. So that one means that it has been selected. So for now, because my cursor is misbehaving, so I can just, but the key thing is just you click at one point outside, then you drag. So you can select the whole objects. So to perform any of these modification, remember number one rule is select the object that you want to move. For example, in moving, I can first select my object, then remember the move command, then I can click on that icon, then they're saying, then specify the base points. So this can be base points. If you want now to move it upwards, this can be a good base point. Then you're moving it on the other end. Then if I click on that point, you can see the object is moving. So I can decide that I don't want that one to be my base point. So if I pick that one again as my base point to the other end, you can see the object is moving. And if I decide that that is my base point, again the object is moving again. So that's about the base point. So if I decide that this is my base point, then I move it that direction. So once I click that point, again I select the object, then I click, then I can specify this is my base point, then I click enter. You can see the object moves. So another important command is undo command. So that does undoes the previous command. The other command is copying. So again, a rule of CAD is you select first and select the whole. If you just make a mistake and you don't select the whole object and you select only one, what happens is that you not copy the whole object. So in copying, again, I'm looking at the command of copy. So no worry, you can just type copy, then you enter. So again, they're asking us to specify the base point. So be very careful with the base point. So again, I can decide that let that be my base point. And you can see that we all have almost done a similar thing, only that in moving, we are just taking a copy, and if I just press enter, So what I have is like I have two objects because I did not move the original one. What I did, I just copied. So again we undo. Then rotate. It's very important to know when you're rotating, we have the clockwise and we have the anti-clockwise. For example, if when you're doing a rotation, confirm the difference between the following. Specify the base point. So you can pick that as the base point. Then we can specify the angle. Then see what happens if I type -45, then I enter. See the effect. Then again, on the same base point, I select the object. Then I now specify the base point is the same, but now I give it an angle of 45. Let's see what happens. I think now you should be careful when you are doing rotation. So be very careful with the direction and the sign that you enter. So another command that we can look at is scaling. And in scaling, we can either do the following. We can lengthen our object. That's a scale command. So we are either making it bigger or small. So we can select the object. We can select the object. Then, so again, they're telling us to specify the base point. Then specify the scale factor. So we can decide that that's our scale factor. So we can click enter. What happens is that you can see how the object has changed. So it has become smaller. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do with the object. Supposing you want to make it bigger, again the rule applies. Select, then click on that command, specify the base point, then you can make it bigger. Remember, when you are scaling, you conserve the properties of that object. So that's about the modifying commands, which we have covered is moving, copying, rotating, scaling, and the last one I almost forgot is mirroring. So to mirror is just to like create a reflection of the objects, just like we look ourselves on a mirror. So the object is in front of the mirror and the image is behind the mirror. So again we do a mirror. Mirror is a mirror command. Again, we have an easier way of looking at it. Just type mirror, and then this is the command. So there is a word specify first point of mirror. We can choose that as our first point. Specify the second one. If we specify that's our second one, we say our mirror goes on the other end. If we specify our mirror on the other end, you can see, so we can choose that as our second point. Then you can say no. So what happens is you have this object mirrored on a point that and the other point. So we have a reflection on the right. So again, undo. So let us look at more of these modifying commands. We can we looked at chamfering. We can add on filleting. So I can add a command fillet. So in filleting, we can see that this is the command. So we want to create rounded objects. So we need also to do selecting on, we want to fillet that edge. So if we click fillet, says select first polyline or dimension, so we can select that. Specify first object, then we can specify the second. So I suppose I do the next presentation starting from fillet, so we can focus on filleting and chamfering, because they falls under modifying commands. So thank you for knowing that we'll go through that presentation, and also watch the next video again on these commands in AutoCAD. Thank you very much.